Something, because establishing something which is new anyway is hard. But how does your, if you don't want to disclose your trade secrets, that's fine. But how does the whole thing work, in as much as you want to share?
Oh, it's it's the most difficult thing ever, for me, that I had to do, because, we don't have the skill. We were talking about the math. It's the same with any other subject or skill. There's a huge skill gap in most African, especially in West Africa, especially English-speaking West Africa, because it's different with the French-speaking countries.
Yeah.
So in Gambia, for example, I did that U-turn. I had to change my whole business model. I had to go through an accelerator program here in Stockholm. The city council had a program which they still run today, where when I did it, it was more focused on getting people with non-Nordic backgrounds to go into business. So they had funding, and you have mentors who will help you. All you need to do was have a business idea, come to them, and they will help you, realize question you, see if it's really something liable to invest in or not. So I went through such a program. I was lucky. I got two mentors. One had already sold her business. She did children's clothing, and she sold it to a very big company. And the other one was working with the H&M, which is a very big garment, company here. And she did almost all her career working from, production to pattern making to, doing design work and doing, production management. So it was really good help to have those two to help me with all that I needed from the very beginning, what I need to think about. But that was learning things that actually work here. But
Right.
When you want to transfer that to Gambia, you realize, oh, they have nothing that works here. You have to build
Right.
everything up from scratch. So there is nothing, infrastructure-wise, nothing is available that will help you, just register a business and get going, get the skill, get the people, the know-how. All you need is those few inputs that you normally hear that you will need to do. But there it's different. So I, again, the math person in me and the risk-averse person in me said, okay, you need to come down and do research. So I was down there in 2016, and it was a very politically very turbulent period in the country, because people were protesting, wanting the dictator to go out, because there was elections coming during the year, late in the year, and all that. There were arrests, and people were afraid, and people, it was a crazy time. But I came down. I talked to a few people that were really willing to help me set up, help me understand what works, where do I need to start, and all that. So getting people wasn't the problem because there's so much high unemployment. Getting people is very easy, but getting the right people that know how to do their work is the most difficult. But even sometimes you fall into this trap that you think people say, oh, I've done this, I know this, and you get them on board because you're not based in the country. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out they don't even understand. They don't even know exactly what,
So, and they don't always have the vision as well.
Don't have the vision, and they not lacking the vision will motivate them to put in the hard work, to make it happen. So those are the obstacles that I faced in the beginning. But I was so convinced that I need to do this for the young people. Mm-hmm. And the young people were hungry. We are saying we don't want to sacrifice our future, our lives, just because we have this dictator here. We really want to make it here, but we don't have companies creating jobs. We don't have schools that are giving us the skills that we can self-employ ourselves, and so forth and so forth. So it was what I saw on that TV, what made me change my whole, thinking and all that. I was hearing it, I was seeing it with my own eyes back in Gambia. So I decided, okay, I want to register the company. But that was impossible because the dictator it was just too dangerous to do anything by then. So I just did my research, came in contact with schools that I could talk to and see what they do and if I can recruit from them, and then came back home. So, and then half a year later, the dictator was kicked out. He didn't leave, he still was there, but I still went back in 2017, February. I went back, I got the company registered, and a few days after registering the company, he actually left the country. He decided to leave. So, so I came back to Sweden, and then I went back again with machines and,
So where would you, excuse me, so where did you get the machines from?
I got the machines from the UK. And choosing why UK is because Gambia has a lot of trade with the UK.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of travel within the two. So it's easier for me to source from UK and ship directly. They already ship, it's easier to ship directly from the UK.
So
and also it's cheaper. It's a cheaper country it's a bigger and a cheaper country than Sweden.
Yeah. So it's on your manufacturing base. So you buy the fabric or you make the fabric?
I buy the fabric.
You buy the fabric and then it's made in Gambia?
And then everything else is made in Gambia. Yeah.
That's incredible because that's a huge, as you said, the skill sets wasn't there. So everything you're doing, you're establishing. So you've been a complete pioneer. And as you mentioned before, changing the mindset, getting people to think that this is a huge scale. Although you started small, it's a huge scale because the opportunity is there. If most of the continent are in some way importing underwear, even if some countries have banned the importation of used underwear, that means there's a gap. And I don't know of anybody else on the continent who is necessarily making underwear. And establishing manufacturing based on the continent is phenomenal, especially when it comes to something as necessary as underwear.
Absolutely. There's a huge market gap still. It's very untapped. There is production going on with underwear in North Africa. Countries like Morocco, they produce and they sell locally, but they mainly produce for European brands. And then in Southern Africa, there is a huge, South Africa, Lesotho is a very huge garment producing country. So they produce there too. And then Madagascar also produce. But in sub-Saharan Africa, all the way down to, Zimbabwe, there's nothing like underwear production. It's like with any other thing when it comes to Africa, producing locally for African consumption, it's still a huge gap and it's still very untapped.
So in terms of, and I totally agree, in everything I've been researching to find an African manufacturer of just about anything, there's like you say, the sub-Saharan Africa, there's a big missing. There's some in the north, there's some in South Africa or that southern corner, and then there's some that may do things in Africa, but they're owned by overseas establishments. It's not, which the money's still going out to the continent. And people are just getting tiny bits of the opportunity. So in terms of for your enterprise, how would you like to go, and what do you potentially see as your biggest obstacle?
Right now, my biggest obstacle is capital, access to capital, because you know, it's I'm still self-financed. I'm not funded, or you know, so I think that's been a challenge in order to scale.
But what's ideal numbers and scale, and what kind of partnership are you looking for potentially?
You know, being a social impact business, it's very difficult to what do you call it, to get funding, especially even here in the West. And it is even more difficult being the business being based in Africa.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to access is cheap capital to start with, because we are still not profitable. Bringing a partner or bringing an investor will want to see something profitable. It's easier to invest in something you know your money will grow, you know,
right.
And we are not there yet. So my first option would be to find cheaper money, like donor money, philanthropy money, someone who believes in the cause and what we are doing, someone who believes in creating, you know, businesses like mine that create jobs for Africans, for young Africans, and for, you know, creates products for the African market and consumers in Africa. Yeah, that would be my first choice. And then my second choice would be to find someone, maybe someone within the industry who knows the industry very well, because I don't know the industry very well. I have a financial background and I work with figures and, you know, and risks and all that. So, but someone who has a very good knowledge of the garment market, you know, the sector itself. I think that passion will add so much value to what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah, with the connections, the contacts, and, you know, access to. It can be someone who works for a factory, who wants to partner with me. You know, there will be skills exchange, because I need that.
Right.
Because for now, that's what is costing me so much money, because I need to always pay for consultants from Europe to come to Gambia to improve our skills and learn new stuff. Like if we have a new machinery, or we are doing sports, where we'll have to bring someone who knows how to do that and operate machines. Yeah, so that's been a very huge challenge for me to improve, and the staff to improve themselves, improve their skills. I need to always pay for it all the time.
Yeah,
something to do continuously, you know.
Yeah, there's one of the thoughts that I have is to engage the diaspora. There's a movement of people going to establish themselves in Africa, especially someone like the Gambia, that's beautiful, who may be interested to see, because some people may just be done with the winters in the West, and they just say, I want to relocate, and I want to find something to do. So partnering with someone who needs their skill, maybe something. And in terms of the size of funds you're looking for, is that something you are able to disclose or not?
Yeah,
or there's no limit?
I'm very transparent. You know, it's not huge sums of money. For us right now, what we need, it's, let's say, between $75,000 and $100,000 to take us to the next level. You know, that would, you know, help us to market. We've not been able to market ourselves. We've been very invested in, you know, in production, in you know, in energy saving, because we couldn't produce due to electricity problems. We couldn't produce, so we had to put in money budgeted for marketing and a shop and all that into solar. So now we are totally off the grid. We
That's good.
Yeah,
you were just awesome. This is fantastic.
Yeah, so we are off the grid. We are 100% solar energy driven company, And yeah, and that has cost us a lot of money, and also deprived us the ability to market us, invest in marketing and invest in sales. So right now, what will take us to the next level is, having to invest in marketing and sales.
So if there was a partner, potentially, or a company who does marketing, and they were interested in marketing, like somehow engaging with you to do marketing, because that's one way. So it's not them necessarily bringing the money, but they're bringing the skills. It's like, how can we find these skills? And these skills can come and go alongside. And so we are going to be able to do this.
Absolutely. If there is someone who is running a marketing agency, and really wants to, because that is what is lacking in most of these African, there are a lot of, I'm not alone, there are a lot of young Gambians doing their bits too, young Africans doing a lot, but they don't get the right tools, marketing tools and sales tools in order to scale their, their sales. Because,
and would this be primarily online marketing or also
we can start with online, because I think online, because the market in Gambia we are targeting, because we are so small, our market is also very, very small, because our pricing is it's very, very steep for most Gambians. So and that's why we made a shift this year, that we invest in a web site, online store, and work with DHL to make sure that we can ship internationally. Quick. The prices are very high, but if the volumes go up, then the prices will go down. That's the deal we have with DHL. And they are working very hard to help Africa. It's a policy they have been implementing in Africa for the past 2 years to help Africans come into the digital age of e-commerce, and also help to sell outside the continent. So they've been doing a very good work with that. It's still very expensive, but it's a start for us. So for me right now, I would say we are targeting e-commerce, selling outside until we can, and in doing so, those because we'll have higher margins selling outside, and that will help to compensate the lower margins we're selling locally in Gambia, because we sell locally in Gambia, but it's like half the price of what you sell online. So
that makes sense, because you have to often go and bring the money in to be able to, because right now the business and where the continent is, it's taking more money than it's making. So you have to go make the money somewhere and then bring it in. No, it's you just never know who might be interested or watching to say they can. I'll put your website there and your so they can reach out if there's a company out there that's interested in working with marketing or investing, because if you have to get that 75,000 or some kind of marketing, then you can scale to the next level.
Absolutely. That will help us do that. But because right now it's just I'm the only investor, and sometimes when sales are good, then we can sustain like our operational costs. But still, I am the one who is making sure we have a budget for whatever we need to do, and it's more like it's a very low level sustainable budget. But it's not there to scale our production, our sales, or our marketing at all. It's just organic growth.
Yeah. Wow. No, it's just incredible what you've achieved, and completely very impressed, like on all levels, on all the levels of your journey, from your early childhood in Gambia to all that math. To all the actuary, to the transition into establishing a company, the location, the training, the engaging with many parties, the political situations going on behind the scenes, and to have a company that's up and running and successful. even though I see there's scope, what would be really nice is, by God's grace, at some point in the future, that your company will truly be the providing underwear for, even if it were 50 or 60% of the region, that would be phenomenal.
Oh yes, my dream is just 10%.
No, that
Yeah.
would be great.
My dream is just, if 10% of, the West African consumers will buy
Yes.
Facil, then, I will be so much happy, because just 10% will give me would put maybe 2,000 people into.
So what advice would you give to young, either university students, entrepreneurs, the youth of Africa? What advice would you give them?
I would say the best opportunities is in Africa. We have a very youthful population and a growing population. So, Africa is the next big thing. The future is in Africa. Believe in Africa, believe in yourself, and you can make it there. And it's just hard work. There's no quick gains anywhere. It's just being consistent and believing in yourself and doing what you think is right. And also open up, talk to people, get a mentor, and that helps a lot, because I know growing up, I didn't have role models. And even when I came to Sweden, getting a mentor was something I felt like, do I really need it? And it's been life-changing, for me, since I open up and get people to talk to. Because we grow up, due to our culture and our society, we grow up not having mentors, because we grow up in very large family setting.
Yeah. The mentor is within the family. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but sometimes you need someone from the outside who sees things differently to get you, have that, I don't know what to call it, but it helps a lot.
Because if
outside your net, your family network.
Because if your family is in a financial, educational situation, then that's what they know and that's what they see. And they haven't been able to break out of that. So they can only mentor you to their ability and experience. Whereas when you get someone from differently, who can see things differently, they can bring value in your professional realm or to your dreams and stuff. No, I get it and I agree. It's good to have a mentor. It's been such a pleasure and wisdom you shared, and the passion and the drive and everything that you've achieved for Facil Clothing. I'll put a link on the chat. It's just really an honor. And I really, truly, deeply pray that your company would continue to be successful and that you will find many partners.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for giving me your time and space to talk about, my story and who I am and, and everything. Thank you.